And I'd like to ask your sympathy for the families of the state of Arizona, because Barry Goldwater from Arizona ran for President of the United States. Morris Udall from Arizona ran for President of the United States. Bruce Babbitt from Arizona ran for President of the United States. I, from Arizona, ran for President of the United States. Arizona may be the only state in America where mothers don't tell their children that someday they can grow up and be president of the United States. So I thank all of you, and I'm so glad to be back in this wonderful state in a beautiful evening. By the way, Cindy and I and our kids and friends just last week spent a few days out on Lake Powell. You know, the marina is in Arizona. The rest of it is all in Utah. We claim it anyway, but it's a great recreational experience, and so it's wonderful to be back. And I want to thank you again for your support for Mitt and Ann Romney. I want to thank you again for your support of them. It's a tough time. They're a great family. They are great people. They are good and dedicated Americans who are being savaged in the most unfair fashion now with this flood of negative ads that have inundated the airways. But I promise you, I am convinced that Mitt Romney will be the next President of the United States of America. There was once a heavyweight champion of the world named Joe Louis, and he was fighting a guy who was a very capable fighter, very good dance around the ring and counterpunch and everything like that. And he said, well, how are you going to beat this guy? And he said, Joe Louis said, he can run, but he can't hide. Well, Barack Obama can run, but he can't hide from his record of abysmal failure as far as this economy is concerned and as far as national security is concerned, and he can't hide from it. And sooner or later, the American people are going to say to him, what's your plan? Are we going to have 4 more years of $5 trillion debt? Are we going to lay this burden on our children and grandchildren of $40,000 for every man, woman, and child in America? Are we going to have Obamacare, when they took $700 billion out of Medicare and put it into Obamacare? And then they have the nerve to say that Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan are going to hurt Medicare. They've already give the $700 billion back, Obama, and then maybe we'll be able to help Medicare in America. So, my friends, sooner or later, the American people will become inundated with all these negative attack ads, hundreds of millions of dollars worth, and they're going to say, President Obama, what's your plan? What's your plan? Have you heard of a single proposal that he has yet? A single one? So that we could restore our economy? And I want to tell you, his budget, which, by the way, in the United States Senate, received 0 votes. Not even the Democrats voted for his budget. His budget has debts and deficits as far as the eye can see. My friends, that's not leadership. That is the liberal left-wing philosophy which has guided his behavior as President of the United States, which is spend, 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 tax, tax, tax. So what do we want to do? Let's get the richest people in America. Let's get the wealthiest. Let's tax them. The people who are the job creators in America. Let's tax them. That's not an answer to our economic difficulties, my friends. That's just class warfare. It hasn't worked in the past, and it won't work in this election. And I can tell you that Paul Ryan has a blueprint to bring our economy back and stop mortgaging our children and our grandchildren's futures. And it's tough medicine. My friends, we are in tough shape. It's going to take tough medicine. But I just want to mention to you again about Medicare. Paul Ryan's proposal is voluntary to start with. It would not affect anyone over the age of 55, and it would give seniors a choice. If they want to or not, go out, have a voucher, and go out and buy the health care that they want. So that is draconian, that's terrible. Remember, Obamacare was supposed to bend the health care costs down. It hasn't. It's bent it up, and dramatically so. And by the way, I don't want to take too much time on this, but I want to just tell you from personal experience, when we did Obamacare on the floor of the Senate, It was the sleaziest process that I have ever seen in my years in the United States. There was the Cornhusker kickback, and then there was the Louisiana Purchase. President Obama, when he ran for president, said he wouldn't have any lobbyists in the White House. He didn't. Had them in the Blair House. And they bought off the pharmaceutical companies and the hospitals and the AMA and the doctors and the AARP. They bought them all off. And my friends, the American people see through it, and I guarantee you, Mitt Romney's first items will be to repeal and replace Obamacare and give people a health system trust that they can afford. Now, President Romney, if I may be so bold, President Romney is going to need a strong right arm. He's going to need a majority in the United States Senate because it's important that the majority in the Senate can set the agenda. He's also going to need some foot soldiers in this revolution. He's also going to need some people who have the courage to stand up for the conservative principles of Ronald Reagan. And that person right here is Mia. Mia Love will be... Mia Love can articulate our conservative principles and beliefs as well or better than anyone I have ever seen. I'm sure you've watched her on Fox. Not often she's on MSNBC, but I'm sure you have seen her. She understands the conservative principles, but more importantly, or as importantly, is that she articulates them. And I want to tell you something very important. You, in November the 3rd, 6th, which? 6th, on November, I'm voting, if you're voting early, vote on the 3rd. But anyway, on November 6th, you have the chance, you have the opportunity to make history. You have the opportunity to send the first Republican African American to the Congress of the United States of America. That would be a wonderful thing to happen. Not only for Utah, but for the entire country. And I believe two things. One, she will be an instant star. And two, she will never forget who sent her and where she came from. I am convinced of that. So, my friends, this future is in your hands. It's going to be a tough race. And by the way, I would remind you, maybe in some respects, the most important vote that a member of Congress passes is the first vote when Congress convenes. You know what the first vote is? The first vote is the vote for the Speaker of the House of Representatives. So, we think we know who Mia Love is going to vote for, John Boehner, and we think we know who her opponent has voted for, Nancy Pelosi. So, right there, my friends, right there, you, no matter what the rhetoric might be, right there should be a deciding factor. I don't want Nancy Pelosi back as Speaker of the House of Representatives. We've had enough of San Francisco liberalism. I am honored to be here. I think that one of my obligations, and I take it very seriously, is to do everything I can to recruit and help and assist in whatever small way I can the next generation of leadership in this country. I am convinced that one of the leaders of the next generation of our Republican Party and our nation is before you tonight. So please remember the words of the late Mayor Daley of Chicago, who once said, vote early and vote often. Thank you all very much. Now, we'd like to respond to any questions or comments or insults that you might have. Thank you. Thank you for coming.